What's up, everybody? We're doing it a little different today. As you can see, well, you can't see right now, but Rich is not here because Rich is in the process of moving. So when he gets back, I guess he'll explain all that to you guys. But with Rich not being here today, I got a special guest with me. Obviously, if you guys been keeping up with us, you know that we go on his show every week recently, and I've been on there a couple times. But I'm lucky enough to have my guy Mike with me today. We're doing it a little different. Usually he's the one hosting, and Rich is hosting, but I'm here today. So what's up, Mike?
What's up, Kate? Appreciate you having me on, man. Excited to talk some hoops, a lot going on, and appreciate the invite.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, we'd love to have you when Rich was here too. We'll definitely invite you back, but we're usually on your show, so we definitely appreciate you coming to our show.
No problem, man. Anytime.
All right, but before we get into the sports and stuff like you were just saying, kind of want to get into your background and things a little bit. So obviously, I know you, but the people don't know you. So I don't know if you want to give them a little introduction to you.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Kayson and I met at the University of Miami. He just graduated. I graduated December 2020, so 2 semesters ago. And we just kind of bonded, both basketball heads, basketball fans. And so I got a show with SiriusXM that airs every Wednesday from 12 to 2 p.m. SiriusXM channel 145 on Slam Radio. And I talk about it all, man. Anything that's latest and greatest in the world of sports, I'm talking about. Obviously, NBA playoff talk heavy right now. But, football, MMA, any sports headline that is worth talking about. College sports, I'm big on college football. Obviously, rep the youth. I'm talking about it, man. And like Kay said, he's been on, Rich has been on, and a whole bunch of other pretty interesting guests. So it's a lot of fun, man. Y'all should tune in whenever you get a chance.
Definitely. So you're from Miami, right?
Yes.
Are you a fan of all Miami Heat? All not Heat, but are you a fan of all Miami sports teams, or are you kind of one of those guys who strayed off a little bit?
Yeah, I'm a little older, and so I grew up watching Mike. I became a 49ers fan because of Jerry Rice, and the only team I got local love for is the U. I actually can't stand the Heat, so Kayson knows that. But it's more of I gave you a pretty good example. I'll repeat it. How the Cowboys, how Stephen A. Smith is to the Cowboys in terms of their fans, because he hates the Cowboys. That's how I am towards the Heat. It's not really a player thing that I have hate for. It's these fans out here that they don't make it easy, man. And me being a Bulls fan, you can imagine how that is. So, yeah, just really local love for the Bulls. I mean the Hurricanes, man. That's pretty much it.
Is there any reason why you're a Bulls fan? Was it the Michael Jordan type of thing growing up?
It was straight Mike. I mean, they were always on TV. That was a team that I mostly saw growing up. I remember having memories of him playing against Portland, in the finals. I remember watching that. And a lot of people down here were Bulls fans, but then they kind of tapered off once he retired. And I just couldn't do that. I remember going to the Miami Arena. I think it was the year after he retired, and Ron Harper went off against the Heat, and they actually won that game. I think the Bulls had like 20-something wins that year. And I remember, man, I was repping hard, and I just stuck with them. It's just hard for me to dislike something that I've invested so much in, you know what I mean? So same thing with the Niners. Growing up, I used to like different teams because of their colors, because of and how the logos look. So I remember liking the Colts. I remember liking the Saints, just for those stupid reasons. But then for whatever reason, the Niners stuck, and so that's where I am now.
Yeah, well, let's get into both of those teams a little bit. Let's get started with the Bulls first. Almost made the playoffs this year. Looked like Zach LaVine and those guys. They made a big trade at the deadline. What changes do you think they can make, or they should make, or are there any changes they need to make kind of get back into being a playoff contender?
Absolutely. You always got to get better. Obviously, it wasn't enough that trade. A lot of people were kind of questioning the trade because they weren't winning how they thought they would at the time. I love Vooch. I didn't pay that much attention to him while he was, up in Orlando. I knew he was a solid player. I didn't think he was as good as he showed to be. But, that pick and roll game between him and Zach proved to be good. I think they could use another player to help take the pressure off and kind of unlock both of them. I like their point guard situation, but I'm not satisfied with it. Kobe's good. Kobe White, he could play, but I don't know. I'm just not satisfied with that position there right now. So I love the coaching situation, and the thing that has the Bulls on the up is because they have overhauled their front office. They had like the worst front office in sports for a really, really long time. Browns fans will probably argue with me, but the Bulls just, when you don't fire Tibbs' right-hand man, like why? Why would you do that? You know what I'm saying? Trade Lou Dang, that pissed them off too. And so, you trade Rose, they were just doing some dumb moves, And so I like the youth movement, but some veteran leadership would help.
Yeah, definitely. And then the 49ers, big kind of draft here. They take a quarterback. They still have Jimmy Garoppolo over there, and he was in the Super Bowl not too long ago. So what do you expect from them maybe going forward? You think Garoppolo keeps the spot maybe for another year or two?
Oh, this is his last year starting. As a matter of fact, they had a chance, to get rid of him and save money toward the cap. I forgot what the date was, and it would have saved him a whole bunch of money because he has a big old contract. But this is his last year starting, and you could bookmark that. I wasn't the biggest Trey Lance guy coming out because I like quarterbacks that have kind of gone against superior competition in college. And this, from North Dakota State, I don't really know what he's gonna look like with a huge step up in competition, but we'll see. I believe in John Lynch and what he does, but I really wanted Justin Fields, but everybody's coming back healthy with that defense. They lost a lot health-wise because of injuries last year, and so I'm expecting them to make a run in that division, despite them having the worst quarterback in the division, because they do. They don't have the best quarterback in that division. Every other team has a better quarterback than the Niners, but we missed out on Julio Jones, man. He ended up going to the Titans today, and now he was rumored to maybe go over to San Francisco. But I would love to see 11, 12 wins and back in the NFC Championship game. That's the goal.
So how long do you think he'll hold on to that quarterback spot before they kind of make the trade for? Not to trade, the switch over to Trey Lance, because like you said, some people think he's the worst quarterback in the conference division. So how long do you think he'll be able to keep that job? Because I know he's got to be on the hot seat right now.
I don't think that he's going to play bad enough for them to have to pull the trigger and put a rookie in there. I really don't think so, because they win when he's healthy. I think the Niners record, the last time I checked, was something like 21-9 or 24-9 with Jimmy G as a starting quarterback, for the 49ers. So they're going to play well. I expect them to get double-digit wins. I really don't expect – the thing with him is, his accuracy, downfield accuracy, late in games, and he kind of gets rattled when, it's clutch, crunch time. And so that's the thing with him. But I don't think he's going to play bad enough for them to have to say, okay, we need to go to the rookie. I really don't think that's going to be the case. I think Trey Lance is going to learn from him this year, and they're going to let him go. At the end of this year, Trey Lance is going to have the year of tutelage under his belt from him, and that'll be it. I'll be shocked if he plays bad enough for them to say, because that means they're, probably going to end up with 6 wins or something like that, not looking at the playoffs. It'll be a failure if they don't make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you can ask Rich, too, when I be on here. I say the same thing. It's kind of good to let the rookies come in and not maybe give them the keys to the offense right away, especially kind of like in football, because it's a little different at the quarterback position. Let them learn a little bit under him, get the feel of the NFL. And like you said, he didn't play against the greatest competition in college, which a lot of things that people are going to be looking out for him. So I think him getting the year under him, able to learn and stuff would be great for him. And then he can kind of take over. And then and it gives Jimmy Garoppolo another year, so y'all can see kind of maybe what y'all want to do for him, whether he boosts his trade stock right now, or maybe you plan on holding on to him maybe another year or two. So anything's kind of possible.
Agreed.
Yeah, definitely. But let's get into the Hurricanes now. Like you say, you're a big Hurricanes fan. You went to the U. Obviously, we met at the U. What do you think? Let's get into the football team first, because what do you think the football team has to do to get back to those glory days?
You want to know what? Talent, even in Miami's worst years, scooping up talent, in the recruiting circuit was never a problem. Some years they would have a drought and, they wouldn't get as much talent, recruiting-wise as they're used to, but talent was never the issue here. Lately, ever since, the turn of the century, it's all been up here with these players. Some of them come in entitled. All right. Some of them come in expecting, whatever it is that they're expecting, and think that they've done something just because they sign on the dotted line for the U. You haven't done anything. You haven't done anything. You actually owe the guys behind you and prove to them why you're here. And so, there was a big time culture problem that I hope has been eradicated. And that's something that Manny inherited. It wasn't his fault. You know what I mean? So it starts up top, and, it starts with your leadership. And Manny, that man knows exactly how to get the best out of his players. So, like I said, never been a leadership, a talent issue. It's more leadership, and they got a lot of leadership coming back this year. So hopefully that sets the tone. And they've always had a template, and a blueprint. It's just they veered from that template, and guys wanted to do their own thing. And so as long as they stick together and don't play for themselves, man, the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit. That football team can win 9-10 games this year. And I know that's not what everybody wants to hear if you're a Hurricanes fan, but it's an increase from wins in the first 2 years of the Manny Diaz era. I think he's the right man for the job, and I'm excited for this year, man.
Yeah, definitely. I think you think maybe the pressure of playing for the U maybe gets to those guys. Like you said, it's up here. They played in some big games. Remember the game at Florida a few years ago? They got Alabama coming up, which we definitely got to get into. So maybe you think it may be the pressure of playing at the U, having that U across the chest?
I think that has a lot to do with it. And I mean, let's face it, man. These recruits coming in now, they don't have the same mentality as people that have been used to watching winning Hurricanes football. And the guys back in the day, they're not the same. They're not built different. Everybody wants to call himself a savage and a this and a that, and no, you're not. As soon as adversity hits, you want to hit the transfer portal. You don't want to play. And back in the day, you had to wait till your junior year to see the field. That's just how it was. I mean, imagine a backfield with Portis, McGahee, and Frank Gore. You ain't gonna play anytime soon. You know what I mean? And so that's what I mean. You have to be selfless. But I do think you have a point. Like, they feel some type of pressure, and pressure busts pipes, man. You gotta this ain't high school. You're going up against somebody at practice that can do the same thing that you can, maybe even better. That's why they're playing here. But they stick it out. They follow the blueprint. This coaching staff is legit. This coaching staff that they've assembled, over the past year or two, they know what's going on. They can recruit. The players trust them, and so as long as they stick together, man, and they don't veer from and be selfish, they're gonna be okay. Because you look at that schedule. If you keep that Bama game tight, I'm not saying win it, but say you lose respectively, that's the best team you play all year. You should run the table after that. You should run the table after that. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the Alabama game. What you think is going to take for them to kind of get that win? We've seen them go up against LSU, I think, to start the season. They went up against Florida to start the season. Those games kind of didn't turn out as well. What do they have to do different in this Alabama game, having those big games in the past to start the season to kind of get the win here?
It's going to sound crazy, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. For them to, because they can win, but what it's going to take for them to win is play a damn near perfect game, and the coaches are going to have to coach a damn near perfect game. So the question is, what are the chances of a coach coaching the best game and the players playing their best game? Bama lost a lot. They lost a lot to the draft, and anytime you play somebody like that, is that powerful, the best time to play them is the first game of the season. Because everybody's coming up. There's no preseason in college football. So, you're literally trying everything out for the first time week one. So I think Miami has that in their favor. They got to be healthy. You know what I'm saying? They got to stay – they're going to have adversity throughout the game. But they're going to have to score points because Bama's going to score points. They got a brand-new quarterback. I get it. So we'll see how that goes. And it seems like it's a revolving door at Alabama in terms of a coaching staff every year because they win so much, guys move on. So I'm wondering what a new quarterback with a new system is going to look like, but defense is definitely going to have to step up. If Miami, and I know this sounds kind of crazy, but Miami's going to have to score 40+ points to win that game because Bama's going to come with it. And that's a home game for them. So they.
Oh, Mike, you froze a little bit. All right, you froze for a second.
Oh, okay. I don't know. What was the last team? My bad.
That's all good. You were talking about how they're gonna have to come with it. That's a home game for Alabama.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much. That's pretty much where I left off. But yeah, Bama's got to score points, man. I mean, they're gonna have to score points against Bama because Bama's definitely gonna put up some points.
Yeah, definitely. What about De'Aaron King? What you kind of expect from him? Now he has another year, first year under his belt. He's coming back for another year. A lot of people have been saying that's probably the best quarterback that you had in a while. So, what you want to maybe possibly see from him? I know he's coming off the ACL injury, though.
He'll be healthy, which is good. Okay. Nowadays, the ACL injury is probably like a ankle sprain because medicine is so far advanced. It doesn't mean anything. It's not your career-threatening 2-year injury like it is anymore. I had 2 of them, so I could attest to that. But it's his money year, and he's auditioning for the NFL. It's his money year. He's auditioning for the NFL, so I think that speaks volumes as to what to expect from him because he's going to want to show up and show out. So I like that this is his last year for that. He doesn't make mistakes, man. He doesn't make mistakes. I think he didn't even throw 10 interceptions last year. I think he threw like 24. I can't remember what the number is. 24 touchdowns or 23 touchdowns and not even 10 interceptions. So he's a smart guy. He's going to need his legs because Miami has an offensive line that returns the most starts in college football this season. But you're still talking about a Bama defense. And so, if he gets in some trouble, his legs are going to be – he's going to have to rely on them. But they're going to need him to play a hell of a game. He's going to have to be the lead. He's going to have to be the MVP for the whole season for Miami to get at least 10 wins and a bowl win.
Yeah, definitely. I want to get into the basketball team a little bit because the basketball team, obviously, they never been like a great basketball team. They had a few good years, but I feel like obviously down here is more like a football area, kind of how that goes. But it's Miami. Those new dorms, I feel like, should be able to sell. Like, there's a lot of worse places to go play basketball. So I feel like they should be able to sell. Obviously, the football team is the big thing here. But I feel like it irks me a little bit being here, and because I'm a basketball guy, and I'm not being as good. Because I look at it, I'm like, it's Miami. Like, I was one of those recruits. I come visit this campus. If I could drag a few people here with me, like, why would we not do it? So what do you think they got to do to maybe get the basketball program to be a little better?
Man, you know what? I'm one of these Coach L enthusiasts. A lot of people don't like the way, his style of coaching or his, the systems that he uses. They say that, they're kind of ancient and throwback and all of that. He's kind of hard-headed and everything. But I'm sorry. I have no problem with a guy that has a career record. Well, not career record, but ever since he's been at Miami. I think he's something like 6-7 or 6-8 versus Coach K, who just announced that this upcoming season will be his last season. And then you got what's his name from UNC, Roy Williams retiring. Coach L may be one of the best coaches in the ACC by default. So I think you ride it out with him. But Miami, so you all know that investigation that happened a couple of years ago. What was it, an Adidas kind of investigation? Something they got caught up with some Adidas thing, and that really set them back because they lost a whole bunch of recruits to that scandal in which nothing came up negative in their, against them. But Miami's basketball recruiting has been, look at Bruce Brown balling right now in the NBA. You got Lonnie Walker balling in the NBA. And I think in Coach L's second or third year, they won the ACC regular season and, the tournament, So recruiting is down in dumps now. Because of that, they've had to rely on a lot of guys from the transfer portal. But you said it right, man. Every sports team down here in Miami should be great just because of the fact that you're in Miami. The weather alone is a selling point. The Dolphins should always be good. The Heat should always be good. The Marlins should always be good, so on and so forth. So they're young, man. They're young. Everybody's what's his name? Oh my God, the guard from Jersey, man, Isaiah Wong.
Yeah, Isaiah Wong. Yeah, I think he put his name into the draft. So he put his name into the draft. So we don't know if he's coming back yet. But if he comes back,
did he hire an agent?
Nah, he didn't hire an agent. So he still has his eligibility. He's just testing the waters.
Isaiah Wong, that boy. You saw it as a freshman, man. That's the thing, And then they had Likes move on. That was unexpected. That sucked. That hurt. And I think there was I forgot what freshman it was, a 5-star freshman. He decided to transfer as well. So that's going to hurt. They're going to be young. And the past few years, man, it really hasn't even been Coach L's fault because they've been playing shorthanded. They've been hurt so much. They've been playing with like 7-8 guys. So They got to get healthy. They got to get some leadership, and it's kind of like starting from the ground up.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, they lost a lot of people this year. I don't even know who's on the roster right now. I mean, people they
Yeah.
lost.
Yeah.
Likes is gone. McGusty entered his name into the draft. Wong entered his name. So, like you said, it hasn't really been their fault the last couple of years because all the injuries. I was at the ACC tournament where they were only playing
Yeah.
6 guys and they were able to make a run. And that's another
And they
thing.
had a nice little run.
Yeah, they did. They a surprising run to be honest. With only 6 people, I think they won 3 games in 3 days and ended up losing to the eventual champions. So it was definitely a good run. That's another thing about them though. They play in the ACC. So if you look at
Exactly.
like they play in maybe the best conference in basketball, maybe the Pac-12 has something to say about it, but that's on the West Coast. So they definitely probably play in the best conference in the East Coast. And
Right.
they have the best weather, like you said. I feel like I said, you come here. Those new dorms, I think those new dorms may help them. I don't know if the teams are gonna be able to stay in there, which I'm pretty sure probably.
Yeah.
But like I think those new dorms would definitely help them with their selling point. With recruiting, it's kind of different. Like obviously when free agency comes around, you can kind of recruit people to come play down here, but that's a little different. I think with like you're talking to a 17-year-old, like, hey, come to Miami. I feel like you should be able to convince them pretty easy, especially if you can get them down here to see the campus.
Man, those dorms, they're not dorms. It's like futuristic living, like future housing or something like that. Like, first of all, they look like spaceships. You have no reason to leave that campus if you are here from out of town or anything like that. You got everything. There's a Smoothie King in there. They got volleyball courts, the weather, everything's great. And if you do want to leave campus, the beach is 15 minutes away. So I don't know. Maybe we got to reach more into the money bag situation because how are we losing these guys? I don't know. But I mean, look, you said it, man. You're going up against the Dukes in the world, and the brands, they sell. You know what I mean? Duke's brand is always going to sell over Miami brand, UNC, so on and so forth. Virginia just won a championship a couple of years ago. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just hoping for better things, and hopefully Coach L, he sticks around for a couple more years before they pick a replacement.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you too with Coach Al. I think he's done the best. I think this tournament run that we were just talking about really showed kind of how he can coach if he had maybe some luck on his side. Because the last couple of years, like you said, it's just been a little unlucky. But hopefully they can find some greatness over there. I think maybe I don't want to say the school. It's because it's a football school. I think that kind of hurts them a little bit when it comes to basketball.
No doubt.
But let's get into the games today. Well, the playoffs for the last week or so because we didn't go on this week. So it's been like a week and a half since we last talked. So anything you've seen from these playoff games that maybe you want to get into real fast?
Oh man, Trae Young is doing some things, man. That's number one. Number two, I really, when Dallas kind of was putting their team together, I was like, oh shoot, okay, Kristaps and Luka, that's a nice 1-2 combo. It looks like Luka's gonna need a little bit more help. I thought Kristaps was gonna be balling. He needed a guy next to him, and Luka needed a guy next to him. I thought they was gonna alleviate pressure off each other, but maybe they need a third guy. Luka's looking amazing, or looked amazing. You look at what he did against, in this series. Who else, man?
I think Devin Booker deserves a lot of love too for what he's able to pull a 47 on the Lakers to kind of to knock him out.
He and the thing with him is, talking about people that need help or whatever. You see what Chris Paul did to that team, man. He needed a guy that can kind of just let him roam free and not be on the ball so much. He has that. Monty Williams doing a good job. Out west, I'm wondering to see how this break for Utah is gonna affect them because they, a jump shooting team like that, you haven't played in like a week or whatever. I'm assuming it doesn't bode well for them, and it's not like if they're an older team that needed the rest. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see about that. The Nets, that Harden injury, I'm wondering how serious that is, but they look okay without him. But there's a lot of storylines that kind of capture my attention, man.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's start off with the Lakers series because I want to get into that. Obviously, the Suns were able to pull out the victory. Devin Booker was able to be fantastic in Game 5 and Game 6. But I think AD going down in that series really changed the series. I think the Lakers, if you ask me, the Lakers had the advantage. I think everything was just kind of It just looked like they had control of the game. CP was hurt. A lot of things wasn't going the Suns' way. And I think when AD going down changes a lot because you take Jay Crowder off of AD and now you put him on LeBron. I think the matchups ended up being better for the Suns after AD went down. So the Lakers also had to go smaller. So you have Mikal Bridges, who's a great defender, but he's not as strong as Crowder is to kind of put him on Bron. I think AD and Bron together kind of the matchups didn't work well for the Suns. And then you put Crowder on him. Now you got Mikal Bridges kind of being a free safety. Actually, they put him on Schroeder, which took some pressure off for CP. So everything kind of changed for them, and then obviously Devin Booker kind of just went off. And then Lakers defense wasn't as great as it was with AD. I think that's why Devin Booker was able to get off a little bit. So what you see in that series, and kind of how the Suns were able to come away with that?
First of all, why didn't Montrezl Harrell get more minutes? That's just weird, and I'm not breaking any news here. I'm not, it's not rocket science or anything because everybody else is talking about it, but it's just weird. You just talked about size and everything, but forget the size and, physicality part. He brings energy and a toughness to the team that they were sorely lacking when they needed a boost. That's an instant shot in the arm because that dude, he doesn't play any games. You know what I mean? He comes in and he means business. He does all the dirty work and all of that stuff. So I was just shocked to see him not get more minutes, and I think I froze again. I'm not sure the last thing you heard me say.
Nah, we heard you, but the video was froze, so it's all good.
Okay. But him, you know what I'm saying? And let's be honest, man, I'm trying to take my LeBron not hater goggles off or anything like that. But, I mean, I have a lot to say about him, but you are supposed to be the best player in the team. The best player in the world right now, and just
nah. All right.
I would have loved to see him be super, way more aggressive than he was in that closeout game, because if he shot all of his bullets and threw the gun, like emptied the clip and threw the gun, there's nothing you could have said. If he put up 30 shots, okay, I don't care if he made 10 of them. You couldn't say anything. But I don't know. I just feel like Bron could be a lot more aggressive at times. And then I know he's up in age, but this is a guy that can still move and take care of his body. We saw Kawhi today take the offensive load and the other team's best player. Devin Booker was going off in the first quarter. And I know LeBron isn't the defender he used to be. He doesn't take on the other team's best player. He hasn't done that since Miami. But if Booker was cooking like that, you got to at least take him for a couple possessions just to cool him off in the first quarter. And I didn't see that. You covering Jay Crowder? Nah, man, that's not what a leader's supposed to do. I had a problem with that.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. And it's interesting because, to me, after the game, Bron blamed it on the injury. Well, he didn't. You don't say he blamed it, but Bron kind of put it on injury and not being 100%. It's either that or maybe, he's Father Time is kind of starting to catch up to him, what a lot of people are saying, because he didn't. We've seen Bron take over series by himself. So like you said, if he would have went out and just emptied the clip and looked like that and they lost, then, you can't really say nothing. But it kind of looked like he wanted to, he just couldn't. Like every time, like he had a couple spurts in those games, like like the end of the third quarter, they made that little run where he was kind of attacking. But it's like, and then like he just didn't seem the same. So it's gonna be interesting to see next year. Was it Father Time kind of catching up to him, or really was his ankle still giving him those issues?
Well, he already said he wasn't playing in the Olympics, so that's some time. And I mean, I gotta be fair too. Their season ended in October, and then you're picking it back up in mid to late December. So I get it, because you look at the Final Four last year, 3 of those teams were out in the first round: Boston, Miami, LA. So maybe that has something to do with it. But the guy plays a lot of basketball, man. He also takes care of his body as much as he can, more than anybody that I can imagine or think of. And so I get it. But so hopefully this rest will do good for him, because contrary to popular belief, like I try really hard to like LeBron. He just makes it really easy to dislike him, But I would like to see him come back pissed off. I really would, because AD and LeBron, that's kind of unstoppable, man. You put the right pieces around them. Vogel's not a bad coach.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, like I said, I think the AD injury. I feel like they probably would have won the series, even though I picked the Suns on your show, which made me
Yeah.
this has made me right. But looking at the
Yeah.
series, like I just think that the Lakers kind of had advantage until AD went down. So I think they'll come back healthy, and they'll. It's gonna be interesting to see from there. But also, like I brought up on your show before too, him going, well, AD coming to LA took a lot of pressure off LeBron. So he hasn't been in that kind of number one offense, taking over the offense type of mode. And he said it after game, after AD went down, like he was built for this to be on his shoulders. But I think it's kind of different the last year and a half, 2 years. You kind
Right.
of, you pick your spots. Before that, he was kind of always the best offensive option going. AD comes, he's getting older, he takes a seat back. I think he tried to
Hmm.
kind of rev that engine up again, and it kind of just stalled out on him a little bit. So I think, like you said, he's going to make the proper adjustments this summer, and they'll be back. I think Stephen A's been saying their window is closed, but I think it's still open as long as those guys get healthy. And going out in the first round may be a blessing and a curse because they get more time to
Yeah,
rest.
no, I agree with that. You want to know what I'm interested to see if it happens, because we've all seen Dwayne Wade do it. We saw Kobe do it. We saw Mike do it. Later on in the careers, your legs, they're not the same. You're not that spring chicken. I wonder if Ron takes his game below the free throw line more, because the dude's built like a defensive end. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. I don't know. I mean, I know AD's down there a lot, but AD likes to float, But then, if AD's on and that's his game, Ron has no problem being up top and being a distributor and being, that point forward, point guard, whatever you want to call him. But I'm wondering to see if Ron makes that adjustment. Father Time. You saw Derrick Rose still has that burst, not the same one, but he gets by people. But now his game's more of a floater than going up and dunking on your face. You know what I'm saying? So Braun's a smart player. He should be able to figure it out. I believe he will, but I'm really wondering to see if he'll take more of a onus of playing in the post now that he's reaching up there in age.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see what kind of changes come about and maybe what moves those guys, the Lakers, make during the offseason. But let's get into the
Right.
other LA team out there. Let's get into the Clippers, who were on the brink of elimination. The Mavs look like maybe the better team throughout the series, but I think the best team won the series at the end of the day. But I think the Mavs look like the better team throughout the series, and maybe they deserve to win. Kawhi kind of takes over last game, and then this game 7, they're able to come out with a W. Kind of what you see from that series, and maybe what you expect from the Clippers going forward, because they got the Jazz, who you were talking about, have been sitting and waiting. I think that series starts in about 2 days, so kind of what you see from that series. Obviously, Luka's the star, going to be a star, and kind of what maybe what's going to happen with the Clippers going forward.
I'm wondering if it's going to be an easier defensive assignment for them, because the Jazz, yeah, you got Mitchell, okay, but and not to say that he's not deadly or anything like that. You got to focus on him, but I don't know if Mitchell's going to have to or be able to put up those Luka type numbers, because Jazz are one of the best 3-point shooting teams we've ever seen. Okay, so you got two perimeter defenders that are supposed to be elite, in Paul George and Kawhi. I'm wondering how much we see of Beverly just for defensive purposes. You know how I feel about Rondo, man. I'm a Rondo enthusiast. I still think he should be getting more minutes. But I'm really glad, and I got the numbers right in front of me because I had tweeted it before we went on. I am really glad that Paul George shut a lot of people up. Okay, game 1, 23, 6 and 5. Game 2, 28 and 12. 29 points game 3, and then followed by 20 points, 23 points, 20 points, and 22 points and 10 assists. He had a double-double 4 times in this series and a double-double in the last 3 games of the series. So that playoff P talk, that pandemic P talk, that's a narrative that people need to let go of. I don't know why. He had a bad playoff last year. The bubble got to him, but Kawhi looked like a man on a mission, man, tonight. And it was awesome to see him say, I got to step up and stop this guy, Luka. So if he has to match up on Mitchell at any point in time, I feel bad for the Jazz, because I don't know. It looks like he's going to be able to at least slow him down if he has to. So I have not been a believer in the Jazz all year long. I just don't like the idea of teams taking that many threes. I'm taking the Clips in 6 or 7. But I'm taking the Clips, but I'll say 6 or 7.
Yeah, I think Donovan Mitchell presents a problem for them. It's a little different than Luka, because Luka can give you passing. He's maybe a little more Versatile, all around versatile in a sense. But I think Donovan's going to give him a problem where he's going to be attacking.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like it's different problems, but it's not a great problem in either sense. So I think Donovan Mitchell, like you said, they're one of the best 3-point shooting teams we've seen, and I seen what they did to Memphis. It's like I couldn't believe some of the threes that they were hitting. Like I was texting people like I can't even like they're on. If they're gonna be on like that, the Clippers are gonna have another problem because I think
yeah.
he may be able to get whoever's guarding him into foul trouble. Now the Clippers, like you said, they have different pieces. They got Patrick Beverly. You might see him more. Might be Rondo on him, Kawhi, PG. But whoever's guarding him, they still might have an issue in the sense that he's just gonna be attacking more. So they got to worry more about him coming at you downhill. And then he got those shooters he can kick out to, which may cause a problem for them too. But it's gonna be interesting. And to the pandemic P point, I had a whole segment on here where me and Rich got into it about is he really that bad in the playoffs? I was making my points about it. Like you said, it's only really been last year.
Right.
And people take that and it seems like he's been bad. And I was bringing it up to Rich too. Like before last year, when has anyone ever thought he was bad in the playoffs? No one thought he was bad when he's going up against those Heat teams. No one thought he was bad in none of those Pacers series. Maybe later on after he came back from injury. But I still thought he played pretty well. Those teams just wasn't that good. He got to OKC. And people don't remember this, he was the best player in that series until Game 5 when Westbrook started going off. Because Westbrook was not playing well. Melo was not playing well.
Right.
PG, if you look at his numbers before Game 6 when he shot like 1 for 13, he was shooting like 45% in the series. He was the only person averaging like 20. He's the only person who played good in Utah for Game 3 and Game 4.
Yep.
People seem to forget that. You go to the next year against Portland, he has 2 bum shoulders. So I can't blame him for that because it was like he was playing at MVP level that year. It wasn't like he got to the playoffs and he was like, "Oh, my shoulders hurt." We were the 3 seed. We fell to like the 6 seed because his shoulders were bad. So his shoulders were bad. Like he wasn't playing well going into the playoffs. So it wasn't just like a playoff thing. He goes to LA. What happens last year? Now it's all like he's not a good playoff. He doesn't play well in the playoffs.
It's recency bias, and I hate it. You can't have that as a sports fan. You can't stick on the latest. You know what I'm saying? You gotta. If it becomes a consistent thing, 3-4 years or 2-3 years, bad playoff performances, okay, fine. But, that kind of relates to the whole point that I like to bring about people calling players done after they've been hurt. I love when Derrick Rose has a good game because he's done. He's done, right? He's done, right? No, the hell he's not. And I love that. But you said it. Paul George was being talked about having like in MVP conversations when he was in the Thunder uniform. I remember it, and that's only a couple of years ago. But I'm glad to see that him having, even though he didn't have a great shooting performance today, the double-double is the double-double. He takes pressure off of Kawhi. If he didn't have that, if Kawhi didn't have that, they wouldn't have gotten past Luka in this series. But you made a good point, man. Dallas looked like the better team. They were up 2-0. LA had to win 4 of the next 5 games. They had to win 4 of the next 5 games. So shouts out to them, man. Luka, that Dallas is coming. Dallas is coming for sure.
Yeah, definitely Dallas. Like you said, Dallas is coming. That offense has always been kind of like a crazy offense. Last year, I think they had the number 1 offense. I'm not sure what the numbers look like this year, but definitely we definitely got to get into everything that's going on over in Portland. I picked Portland to win that Denver series. I thought they had too much firepower for Denver without Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray, if you remember, he was like maybe their best player in the playoffs last year. I thought Damian Lillard coming off that pick and roll would be able to attack the Joker and then won't have an answer for kind of Lillard on defense in that pick and roll. And even anyone in the pick and roll. We seen C.J. McCullough kill him in the pick and roll when they played in the series a few years back. Denver comes out of nowhere playing, I wouldn't say out of nowhere because I guess maybe I was the only one doubting them without Jamal Murray. But their role players come out of nowhere playing well. They go into Portland and still won after losing game 1. Dame, there's a lot of talk about Dame maybe being out of there now. That's kind of what I seen from the series. I think Austin Rivers, who was with the Knicks, he played out of his mind. I think that the role players played great. Michael Porter Jr. played great, and Portland's role players did not step up when they needed to. I think C.J. McCollum, it was not his greatest series, and
No.
Dame went crazy. You seen Game 5? He went for 55. He's saving them every chance he can get. He got them into 2 overtimes. They wasn't even supposed to be there. So Dame did all he can. The role players just kind of didn't step up for them. I'm saying they need to blow it up now. They've tried everything they can with those 2 guys. You either got to get rid of one of them, and obviously I think you'll get more for Dame, but you want to keep him
Right.
because he's the better player. You may not know what you can get for CJ, but I think the right trade comes up this summer. You kind of maybe see if you can switch it up. But what do you think Portland should do? Should they blow it up? Where do you think they go from here?
They should blow it up, and I say that like kind of partially because I really think, and listen, man, I love CJ McCollum. I really, really do. And in terms of Dame, I was calling him a better point guard than Kyrie Irving when Kyrie was winning championships with the Cavs, because that's how I feel. Between him and Kyrie, he could do the same thing that Kyrie can do, except he's more of a point guard than a street baller than Kyrie is. Both of you can get him buckets, whatever. But and to your point about doubting Denver, you were not the only one, man. It took me a long time to get impressed with Denver, okay? And last year, Jamal Murray shut me up, okay, in the playoffs because he came up big. But then the thing with Murray is that he'll have a great game, then 11 points the next game,
Yeah.
And that's I guess the consistency with him. But the thing with that series, man, with Denver, once we found out Murray wasn't going out, I didn't have them going anywhere. I didn't have them advancing past the first round either. But Aaron Gordon, that trade, he didn't come there to be a second guy. You know what I'm saying? He came there, and I think he's more in his element because when he got drafted, I still think he left Arizona a little too early. I think he would have benefited by staying another year. But when you go to Orlando, that's not a first option on any team in the NBA. He was the first option for a long time. That was part of Orlando's problem. Like, that's your guy. That's not number one. So I think he's more of his element now in Denver because he doesn't have to have the pressure of scoring that. He's like the third option or however you look at it. But he had to step up, and I mean that was kind of good to see. But Jokic, he's balling out of his mind, and that dude, he's probably going to win the MVP. He's not my MVP, but he's probably going to win it. Portland, they definitely got to do something with that roster. I'm one saying that you keep Dame and you look for somebody else. McCollum's going to probably be the one to go. That's if I was a GM, that's what I would try and do. Like you said, you do get more for Dame, but you got to do something for basketball in that area, man. Portland is a basketball city. You know what I'm saying? That the Great Northwest is already without Seattle. So when I say blow it up, maybe not the whole entire roster, but that starting lineup is going to take a dent to it. And I don't know what you can get for McCollum, but it just sucks to see them having to rebuild with Dame there again, because that's what is going to happen unless they can get a guy that provides some instant type of spark. But I didn't have them losing that series. I know that much.
No, definitely. Let me ask you this: are you more impressed with Denver or more disappointed in how Portland played?
I am more impressed with Denver or disappointed. I'm more disappointed with Portland, man. And like I said, it's tough because Denver shut me up and they proved me wrong a lot last year. You know what I'm saying? Like, they went as far as the Western Conference Finals, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and I should be like okay, I'm a believer now, but Mike Malone keeps shutting me up. He deserves a lot of credit, man. He deserves a lot of credit. That's one hell of a coach, and he gets his guys prepared. But I guess it's a little bit of both. I just had, Denver winning their series. I thought they were, especially with Murray being out. If Murray was healthy, I wouldn't be saying anything. I wouldn't be saying anything at all. And so I'm more disappointed with how Portland did things, but I'm not surprised that they lost because Denver is a problem. They're playing well.
Yeah, I'm actually more surprised with Denver. Like you said,
Okay.
It's because they didn't have Murray that maybe I was doubting them a little bit, but I'm more surprised with how well their role players played. And Nurk and Joker a little bit too. Like I said, I thought they'd be able to attack him on defense, kind of like how the Jazz were doing at the beginning of that series last year. But I'm more so. Obviously, I'm disappointed. Like, it's both. I'm disappointed with Portland too because, like I said, I expected them to win. They had more firepower. But I'm very impressed that even because remember Dame went off for 55, and Denver was able to hold on, take that punch, and still keep being able to score and keep up. So I'm kind of more impressed with Denver,
Right.
to the point where
Okay.
if CP's not 100%, I think I'm taking Denver in this Suns versus Nuggets series. Who you going with?
That's gonna be very interesting, man. I guess I haven't learned my lesson, man. I got the Suns. Man, and the reason for that is three words. Two words. Chris Paul. And look, I get it. His shoulder and everything like that. I'm hoping that some rest and some time off for him to heal, that does the trick. But that dude is, I mean, look what he did to OKC. Nobody had them even making the playoffs when he was there. Takes them to the playoffs. Nobody in their right man had Phoenix being a top 2 team, especially in the West. I had them making the playoffs as a lower seed, you know what I mean? And then look what he does. That dude there, I think he's going to make Denver pay, and not that it's Denver's fault, but he's going to make Denver pay for being shorthanded with Murray, because he's just an extension of the coach on the floor. He finds every mismatch. He gets you into your offense, and he can hit shots. He's still CP3. He can hit open shots if he's in the lane. So I got the Suns. I think the series is going to go pretty long too. I won't be surprised to see if Denver wins. I just don't know. I would love to see that DeAndre Ayton and matchup with him and Jokic. If Ayton has anything close to the series that he had versus LA, I think that's the problem right there. I think that'll be the difference. I think Ayton is the X factor in this series.
Definitely, I definitely agree with you. I'm under the impression that CP may not be 100%, and with how because it's gonna be kind of similar to the Portland series a little bit. Obviously, that's what Aiden will be the difference, because Nurkic didn't play as well, and I know a lot of people have been getting on him about how he didn't play as well. So if Aiden cannot play up to the level he was just playing at, like you said, I think that'll be a difference, because I think D Book is gonna be kind of on the same level that Dame was on, scoring wise.
Yeah.
So if they can withstand Dame's 55, I think they might be able to withstand whatever maybe Denver runs at him. I mean, Booker runs at him. That's why I think if CP's healthy, I'm taking the Suns. But if CP's not, for basically everything you said, if CP's healthy, I'm taking the Suns. But if he's not healthy, I think they may struggle in this series a little bit. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see going forward.
No, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense, because he's an engine that makes that team go. I mean, let's face it. They won that series, and I hate to say this, but they benefited from AD being out. And the same thing with the other way around. If they didn't have CP3 and he was hurt, and that shoulder just caused him to not play, LA runs away with that series. They do, especially if AD's playing. So CP's health is definitely a key, and I'm just hoping for health, man, because we saw Philly and your man Embiid, Garrett. Thankfully, it wasn't significant, but it's still kind of, it has to slow. I mean, a partial tear your meniscus. I've never had that, but it doesn't sound too good. Harden, I hate these playoff injuries, man. They suck.
Yeah, definitely. I've known a couple people who had some meniscus injuries and problems. The thing is, you could play after you first hurt it. It's gonna hurt for a little while, but after it goes down a little bit, you can play on it. It's just after you play, you're gonna be in a lot of pain.
Okay.
So it won't stop you from playing. It's just after you play, you're gonna be in a lot of pain for a little while. But after you get some treatment and stuff, it'll be okay where you can play on it again. But again, it'd be it's after you play on it, hurt again. So you just gonna have to deal with the pain. That's probably what they're doing right now with Embiid. But let's get over to the Eastern Conference anyway. The Hawks, Philly, they had game one. The Hawks were able to steal game one. The Hawks right now are looking to me, if people remember when Golden State first time they made the playoffs, they were able to knock out Denver when they had Andre Iguodala. They went to the second round. They almost knocked out San Antonio. But I think they ended up winning game one in San Antonio too. So that's kind of the vibes that the Hawks are giving me right now. I don't think they're going to win this series. I think Philly still be able to win this series, probably in 6 or 7. But Trae Young is looking crazy. He's been looking like a playoff veteran, like he's been here before. He went into Madison Square Garden, no issue. went to Philly today, no issue. So he's played up to the level that superstar level. So how far? Someone here in the comments asked, "Do you think Trae and them can go all the way?" So how far do you think the Hawks can go?
They could definitely win this series. They can definitely. I don't have them winning this series because I think that if Embiid plays like he has been all year long, that's just it. I don't think Atlanta has an answer for him, and he doesn't. And it's like if he doesn't have pieces around him. Okay, I love me some Ben Simmons, despite how much of a issue he is offensively and towards the end of the games. Like on the free throw line. I love Ben Simmons. Tobias Harris, I'm a huge fan of him. I'm a huge fan of Tobias Harris, and they got pieces around him, man. Doc Rivers is the reason why Embiid is in playoff talks this year because, and I think I said this on the show, on one of the shows that you were on, the first thing that he said to Joel Embiid when he got to Philly is, "You better park your ass in that paint. I don't give a damn. I don't care. Fine, he can still shoot some threes every now and then, but he's not jacking 8 threes a game, 10 threes a game. Shouldn't be doing that. The guy's probably the most unstoppable force in the NBA down low that we have right now. But Atlanta can definitely win this series, especially if they go up 2. But you saw how they gave up a late lead, today in today's game. But back to Trae Young, ESPN Stats and Info tweeted this a couple hours ago. He became the second player in NBA history to score 30 points in each of his first 4 career playoff games. He joined Kareem, then known as Lou Alcindor, and whoever else is on the list. But second player, yeah, it was just him and Kareem. Listen, man, when you got stuff like that, this dude is obviously built for this, and so he's quietly dishing out 10 a game. Everybody's worried about him shooting the ball, and rightfully so. But you can't if he keeps getting in the lane, and that's their offense right there. He gets in the lane, and he's either dishing or throwing up that floater. You got to find a way to keep him out of the lane. That has Ben Simmons' name written all over it. Okay, you're talking about a 6'10" elite wing defender. I don't care who else he's on. You got to put him on. Who was he messed up again on today? Because I didn't see much of the game.
I don't know, but I know Danny Green was the one that was on Trae Young most of the game. So he wasn't on Trae Young.
That's not a bad matchup because Danny Green can play some D, but in spots they got to throw some length at him, man. Because you can't tell me that's not going to bother a guy that's 6'1" at best. You know what I'm saying? So I still have Philly, but those hopes or that prediction is looking mighty flawed if they lose the next game at home.
Definitely. And Ben Simmons was trying to make his case for Defensive Player of the Year. This is when you come show that you're the Defensive Player of the Year. Trae Young has been, like you said, 30 in every game and dishing out 10 assists. This is when you come show us. All that talking, going at people is kind of done there. You got to come show us because this young guy is going off.
Yeah. And like you said, his length is everything. I love the way he, moves with the ball and everything like that. But him mainly because he has, eyes in the back of his head, can make the right play, and his defense is it has to show up big, especially late in the series.
Yeah, definitely. So, it is the Hawks surround him with a whole bunch of shooters. So, kind of what hurt the Knicks in that series, and I kind of said it on your show, you have to decide what you're going to do. Also, with Philly, Embiid in the pick and roll, he's attacking Embiid in the pick and roll. Philly had the same issue when they played the Warriors this year in the regular season. Embiid does not come up high on those pick and rolls. He sags off. So with someone who's shooting that far out, that's a shot. Or not, if not, he's coming downhill at you. So Embiid in the pick and roll is kind of how he was able to do what he did today. But the teams are going to have to decide, do you let Trae Young do what he does and try to contain him? Or are you going to help? Because if you help, he has some shooters and he's finding them. And like you said, if not, he's throwing it over the top. And Bogdanovich played well today. He kind of hit the 3 that put it away. Those shooters are hitting. So the Knicks were in the same situation. You have to decide. And like you said, with Philly, they have that guy. They have Ben Simmons where you can put someone on him and kind of stay home on all shooters. So that's going to be the difference in that series.
2 is better than 3, man. That's my philosophy if I'm a coach. Let him get in the lane, do whatever, stay at home on the shoot. 2 is better. If Trae is going to live and die with that floater and get in the lane, he's already getting 30, all right? Yeah. He's already getting 30 regardless. So, like I said, 2 is better than 3. Stay home on the shooters, and you do that, and Trae Young beats you, well, that's what's supposed to happen. Yeah. You can't let it.
You got to tip your hat to him. Good game.
Yeah.
If he's gonna give you 60 on all 2-pointers, it's just gonna be that type of night. And especially if he's gonna give you 60 with Ben Simmons guarding him, then you feel me?
Right.
It's not you can do. You gotta kind of stay home with all shooters. But let's get over to the other series over there. Brooklyn still in game 1. Milwaukee didn't play the best. They only shot like 20% from the 3-point range. I expect them to answer. Blake Griffin played well. I don't expect that. Maybe the whole series. It'd be great if he could do that for the whole series, but that's not something I'll be expecting. I think it's going to go 7. I'll probably take Brooklyn 7. To me, the difference was going to be James Harden because I feel like KD and Giannis will be on the same level. They'll be able to maybe even each other out. Drew Holiday will play good enough defense on Kyrie and he's going to give you, like he was doing, maybe 15 and 10, so they can kind of even each other out. They have Middleton, but I think Harden would have been the difference in the sense that he's running that offense. So he'll be able to – it's not worried. I feel like Middleton can maybe match him scoring, but the other things that Harden did, I don't think they maybe had an answer for him. And just looking at the big three, if I had to trust one of either big three, I was just going to go with Brooklyn. So I was going to take Brooklyn 7. Harden being out makes a difference. I think that Milwaukee will respond in this next game. But also, they don't really have no one for Giannis. Like you've seen with the Heat were able to build that wall. The teams that beat the Bucks over these last couple of years, they had Kawhi. They had someone who can guard Giannis. They had Jimmy Butler and the Heat building that wall like they did to kind of stop him.
Right.
I don't think the Nets have someone. Jeff Green maybe, but he's hurt right now. I don't know if the Nets have someone that can maybe stop him, which may be a problem for them in the series. So I got the Nets at 7. How you see it going?
I got the Nets in 6, regardless of Harden playing, because the thing with the Nets all year was 2 things. Well, since they traded for Harden, was 2 things. Everybody's worried about them not playing defense, and my thing is, who gives a damn? Okay, you got these 3 guys like defense. What for? What? Like their best defense is probably their offense. Okay, everybody remember those Golden State teams? They had a top 3 defense for a couple of years when they were winning. That's just that's another level. But the other thing, other than them not playing defense, was they don't have a bench, and I don't know if people can hold on to that narrative anymore, because I'm looking at their roster and they got guys, Claxton putting in some quality minutes. Okay, Bruce Brown, I love how he's playing. Okay, and then their role players. You got Joe Harris. I mean, that dude is as dead eyes a shooter as there is in the NBA. I know he doesn't come off the bench, he starts, but still. And how about Mike James? He coming up, you know what I mean? So we're seeing how some guys can kind of step up with Harden's absence, and well, there's no answer for that, man. It's just there simply is no answer. I don't think that Milwaukee, like you said, or the Nets have anybody for Giannis. I mean, you could kind of throw length at him with Claxton, but Giannis is going to eat that up all the time. And I had a buddy of mine tell me, and this is a really good analogy, Giannis is to the paint what Steph Curry is to the three-point line. That's kind of unstoppable. You get Giannis 8 feet in, it's a wrap. But I think that they don't need Harden to win this series. What Milwaukee's going to have to do to win this series is they're just going to have to hit shots. It's just hard to match them point for point, man. It's going to be hard to match them point for point. And I don't know. They're just going to have to hope for another injury. That's what I think, because it's hard to coach against. The Nets could do it all. They can run in the open court. They can score in the half court. And, in terms of defense, you only really need defense in certain situations when you're scoring that many points. That's how I see it. But I hope we see 7 games. I hope we don't have a situation where people are talking crap about Greek and saying, he can't get out and do anything with his team. Look who he's running up against. This is probably going to end up being one of the best trios we've ever seen, especially if they've run off a couple championships, But even with all that said, I got the Nets at 6.
Definitely. Well, I got one more for you. Fight tonight. Any chance that Floyd loses?
I'm not a Money Mayweather fan. I hope he lays Buddy out because I've never Never heard of this dude a day in my life. Apparently, he's some YouTube sensation that came out of nowhere. I don't know what he's good for. I don't know what he does. All I know is he's talking mega. This has to be like some type of publicity stunt or whatever. They doing it for the money. And then apparently there's not even really a winner at the end of the fight. They just doing it for I don't know what. But the dude is doing it to just get his name out there, I guess, even more. And he's way bigger than Floyd, but that's never stopped Floyd from being great. I think he's going to school him. And I just hope he lays Buddy out on the campus, flat out.
Yeah, definitely. They're I don't know them either, but I know they're YouTube stars, and they're gonna bring a lot of fans. So that's kind of what it's for. Promote boxing a little bit, like you said. They're trying to get their name out there. So
Yeah.
I'm on the side with you, man. I hope I'd be pretty surprised if he was able to knock Floyd out. That'd just be
Right, right.
But
I mean, he's not even a boxer, right? He doesn't even box.
well, they've been training the box supposedly for like the last 2 years, him and his brother. So
Okay.
they're
Let's get up for that guy.
yeah, they're trying to be on the come up. So
Yeah.
But Mike, I appreciate you. You already know. You guys definitely make sure y'all follow Mike. His @name is right there. His show, me and Rich are on there every Wednesday. Channel 145, Sirius XM Radio. 12. The show starts at 12, goes to like 2, I think, right? Me and Rich come on around like 12:20 to like 1. So y'all definitely tap in with my guy. And Mike, I appreciate you.
No, man, I appreciate the invite, and I'll get you the information about this coming Wednesday. I know I wasn't able to go on the air last week, but we should be good for this week. So can't wait, man. Got a couple things to talk about.
Definitely, man. It's always a great conversation. We actually went an hour, which was it seemed like it went by pretty fast. But it's always a great conversation when we link up.
Sweet, man. I appreciate the invite, man.
No problem. All right, y'all. See y'all later.